The GWS Giants have the Coleman medalist, one of the best defensive duos of the last few years, led for 250 out of 269 minutes of finals action, and still have been knocked out in straight sets, which is information that is not new to anyone. But to quote one of the best TV shows of modern times, Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental. So we know what happened. Let's answer two other questions. How and why? And I've got answers for both. So let's go to the first of many numbers that I think will shock all of us of just how bad their last quarters were. So against Sydney and Brisbane combined, they conceded 78 points and kicked 21 themselves. And considering that they had, at their peak, a 28-point lead over the Swans and a 44-point lead over the Lions, that is disastrous. And weirdly enough, I feel like there would be a lot of forgiveness around the way the Giants lost against the Swans if they go on and beat Brisbane in this game of, look, it's not great to give up a 28-point lead. I mean, Hawthorn did it against the Giants. Other teams that have led at three-quarter time have let leads go. You think of clubs like Collingwood that have been really good at taking the lead in the last quarter. They did it last year, of course, on their way to a premiership. Sydney have done it really well this year, and teams have been really good at it. And the Giants just, look, you lost to the best team in the competition. We can live with that. But as we like to say around here at Daz HQ, once is an accident, twice is a problem. And weirdly enough, there were so many similarities and differences in the applications to the downfall of the Giants. I think it's worth this discussion. Now, most people, I think, using sort of the fingertip analysis here, is going to say they tried to save the game too early. Circa Hawthorn against Port earlier on in the year, and I could argue in some sense North against Collingwood. Although, is the quality of North a factor there? Most people would think yes, but if you're good enough to get a 9-goal lead and bad enough to let it go, there are still going to be some similarities here. Yes, GWS should not have given up either of these leads. They did. That's life. What did all three of those teams, with Hawthorn and North included, do? Again, try to save the game too early is going to be the theme here. But they tried to save the game in different ways, right? The Sydney game was interesting because there were so many people that rocked up for the Swans in that last quarter. Chad Warner had done stuff all for three quarters. All 7 of his clearances came in the last quarter. But GWS's inability there to get uncontested ball had them in trouble, whereas they did have uncontested ball a little bit more against the Lions. So the fact that they couldn't shut the game down, whilst was true in both games, was kind of a shit show in different ways. Sydney just overwhelmed them, and I don't mean that in a, and that's that for the Swans. They did what they needed to do. It's not like that at all. We'll touch on what happened, how it happened. And the Brisbane game was systematic of a complete mental fragility and a complete mental failure. I don't think it was that as much against the Swans. The Swans put together 30 minutes of football that I think would beat anyone in the competition. A better side than the Giants may have been further than 28 in front. That first quarter, I think they kicked 2 goals, 5 in that first quarter. If that's 5 goals, 2, game's over. And, circa Port Adelaide in the first quarter against the Hawks, it should never have been that close. Port in the 2014 prelim final against Hawthorn, ironically. And again, other games this year, inaccurate goal kicking. Brisbane themselves have struggled with goal kicking this year. Port Adelaide themselves have struggled with goal kicking this year. So that's the easy bit, to just go kick accurately early, put your foot on the throat, and you're gone. But then you look at the Brisbane game and you go, but they did that. They had a 44-point lead and still let it go. The Giants only lost the inside 50 count in the final quarter by 4. It was 16-12. So when you look at it and go, well, they tried to shut the game down, they actually did take territory throughout that last quarter and couldn't get it on the board. Callum Ward's goal was pretty special. James Peatling's goal after drawing the head-high free kick. All well and good. A snap, a banana, pretty low percentage shots, but they went through. Credit to them. That is all well and good. And what happened from there, like I say, part of it was you were just overwhelmed by a better team. But there's something that both Sydney and Brisbane did systematically to the Giants that was key to their victory. And what it was they got their half forwards up the ground and made GWS defend not with a back 11. So not your 6 defenders, 2 high half forwards, your 2 wingers, I should say, and your 3 midfielders, and potentially your high half forwards. But usually your 6 defenders, your 2 wingers, and your 3 midfielders can work together as a back 11, and then your 6 forwards, your 2 wingers, and your 3 midfielders work as your offensive 11. 11, there's your 22, and that's why you need your midfielders and your wingers to be so aerobically gifted. And then, of course, you look at the blueprint as someone like Geelong and Hawthorn especially have made. Their half-forwards can get up the ground, so you're effectively defending with 13 and attacking with 11, which is awesome, and how you get so many numbers. But Sydney's ability to do this on such a small ground, to swarm them with space, meant that they just got out the back so many times. On the SCG, there was space. Even if you think of the James Jordan kick to Braden Campbell, which, by the way, best field kick of the year. That one field kick, that's the best one. That's almost the best field kick in a final I've seen since Taylor Duryea, I think it was, who hit up Jared Roughhead near the halftime siren of the 2015 preliminary final. Or maybe three-quarter time it was. Like, it was that good. And it was you can go, it was 1v3 though, Daz. Look at the vision, which I wish I could use, but the AFL copyright me. But the Giants play, as good as the kick is, and it's great, there are 2 further Giants players that were inside 50 when Jordan gathers the ball originally on the boundary line, who don't impact the contest. So Sydney being able to draw themselves up the ground in numbers and still have space in their forward 50 was a huge problem for the Giants to deal with. When Jake Lloyd streamed into his open goal, he obviously gathers the ball wing, half forward, but no Giants actually come at him from goal side. They track their opponents back, and so much so, they actually have a spare inside 50. Nowhere near where Lloyd kicks the ball from, and there's still space for the ball to bounce. So if they're guarding space, they're doing it badly. But if you're going to have a spare at the contest, have them further up the ground. And they also failed to do this against Brisbane in a very key contest. I will get to that a little bit later on. But if you're retroactively guarding space, you need to guard dangerous space. And I completely understand Giants fans if before this, whilst I'm saying this, or at any point after this, it is 100,000 times easier as me sitting on my couch live and afterwards to dissect this, right? I understand that. There is no greater coach or analyst in the world than someone that sits on an armchair. I completely understand that. I don't hide from that. You're 100% right. All I can tell you is what I saw and give you my opinion. And if that's not what you're looking for, you're not going to watch the video. So that is what it is. But as long as you know that I know that, hopefully you can get on board if you haven't already. I think we're like 8.5 minutes in at this point. But Lloyd streaming into the open goal. Heaney kicks his goal because once the play separates from GWS's forward half, there is space. And there is space both where Heaney gets the ball. It's a ripping handball by Tom Papley, by the way. An absolutely unbelievable handball by Papley to hit Heaney. But there's no one who comes at Heaney quick enough. But there's also no one that can touch the ball in the square. So what is the spare doing? And if you don't have a spare, why are you saving the game? You can't have it both ways. You can't save the game and not have players guarding space, territory, the ball drop, or the player who's coming towards the goal. If you get overwhelmed with a chain of handballs, sometimes you got to tip your cap. But Lloyd, Amati, and Campbell kicking goals in that last quarter were all because open and free Giants players in the defensive 50 were not threats at all. The Tom Papley goal for the Swans, by the way, was just good pressure, made Callahan panic. Papley hits it from 52. Not a whole lot you can say there. There might be retroactively, well, this player should have done this or that. Not as big a crime, I don't think, as letting Heaney and Lloyd especially attack the forward 50 with no frontal pressure. There's pressure from behind and blokes chasing. The fact there's no frontal pressure in a game where you are actively looking like you are trying to save it is inexcusable. And again, if this only happened in the Sydney game, they learned from it and beat Brisbane, let's be honest, I'm probably doing a Brisbane video right now. So, is it harsh in the Sydney game? Potentially, but in my experience, not really, because what you did against Brisbane was worse. Not only did you not learn the lesson there, you capitulated worse against Brisbane. And I don't think any stat highlights my frustration with the way the Giants badly saved the game of footy than this. This is the offensive heat map for Sydney throughout the qualifying final. 45% in the first quarter, less than 40% in quarters 2 and 3. So they are not getting the ball in their forward half and using it. Disposals in their forward half is not many at all, and it's 50% in the last quarter. So when you think about the fact that half of Sydney's disposals were in their forward half while you're trying to save the game, means you got it wrong. Means you're not defending with your 11 or even your 13, because O'Halloran and Brent Daniels, who it was okay in the last quarter against the Swans, like he was fine, but again, didn't have an impact behind the footy and didn't really have an impact in front of the footy enough to win the game. So when you go, right, we've saved the game, but we gave them more territory, what are we doing here? And they were mauled in clearances in the final quarter. So you lost the territory battle, you didn't defend well, and you lost to the best team in the comp. Can you live with that? Depends. What did you do the next week? Well, here's what they did. They gave Brisbane in the second half 57 and 50% of their disposals in the forward half when they tried to save the game. So effectively, you allowed yourselves to be boxed in. And if you're wondering, 50% for Sydney in the final quarter, 50% for Brisbane in the final quarter for their offensive disposals. What was GWS's heat map? Because if they were close-ish, that means nothing. It's 37 against Sydney. Checking my notes. 32. 37, 32. The 50-50. That's how you decide to save a game. And not win it. Because you've got to remember, Brisbane came really hard in that third quarter, and the Giants structurally didn't really do a lot wrong with those goals. So Lohman, yes, he was out the back a little bit, ripping kick to get to him. He kicks a low percentage shot, danced around the man on the mark, kicked the goal. Dear tippy cap there. The Charlie Cameron one on the line. Should you have had a spare on the goal line? Probably. All right, but Ashcroft gets it, kicks it out of the pack. Cameron kicks the goal. They've kicked a couple in a row. They're going beautifully. I thought the Zorko free kick was not there, but Hawthorn fans, shut up about umpiring. Right, cool, I shall. The only egregious goal that Brisbane kicked in that third quarter was Zach Bailey's, who, when Lohman went up for the kick, I think it was McCluggage who won the clearance. Lohman goes up uncontested. Should have taken the mark. Come on, Kai, you're better than that. However, Zach Bailey is standing next to Harry Perryman, who is goal side of Zach Bailey. Tick. Cool. Golden. Done everything right. Ball hits the ground and Perryman leaves. Not Zach Bailey goes off him. Perryman is not standing next to him anymore once the ball hits the ground. Bailey just goes and gets the footy uncontested. Jack Buckley's got to sag off his opponent to try and attempt a smother. Doesn't get there. And by the time the ball goes over the goal umpire's hat, Harry Perryman's standing at the top of the goal square. Like, the checking there from Harry, not great, to put it mildly. So, okay, they've kicked some goals, they've got some momentum, you've let go one pretty egregious one. What do you do to settle? Well, it comes down to the Coleman medalist. Jesse Hogan takes 2 contested marks, sets up Xavier O'Halloran for one of the goals, kicks ones himself. Take a breath. You kick the first of the last, you're home. Toby drops an absolute sitter, gets up from the Harris Andrews pressure, kicks the goal, and they're done. Great win by the Giants. Psych! Okay, centre clearance goes Brisbane's way, inside forward 50, Archie, it basically hit his shin, and then Hipwood snaps the goal, is what it is. All you got to do is win a clearance, one more goal and you're home. At any point. From here on onwards, insert, just win a clearance and score. Here, insert that here, game's over. Now, obviously that doesn't happen, but what did happen? Furthermore, proving that they didn't really know what they were doing, Callum Archie and Dane Zorko had a 2v5 in the goal square when Zorko was able to get his foot to the ball. Unfortunately for the Giants, it was 2v2 at the point of contact because the other 3 defenders are behind Zorko. And it was a long, high ball in. Sam Taylor got the fist, ball got to the back. Very poor defensive setup by the Giants to let that one go through. Okay, we're kind of at 2 egregious goals here. Let's win a clearance. You've got Tom Green in there. You've got Josh Kelly in there. I know Cornelio's off the ground, but you've got James Peatling in there. You got these guys. Could you rotate Brent Daniels through there? Do you throw caution to the wind and put Toby in there? Probably not. But you've got midfield cattle to win a clearance, set yourselves up, lock the ball in your forward half, put the game to bed. You've got chances to do that. Nope. After the Starcevic fumble, the Giant tsunami was happy running that way. They didn't want to run that way. McCluggage pretty much open, draws the defender, handball over the top. And yes, Will Ashcroft deserves all of the flowers in the world. And let's be honest, Sydney and Brisbane do. I know they're probably not going to get it in this video, and they haven't. And look, I'm not a massive fan of doing videos like this, but I found it more interesting on how GWS did this twice, as opposed to how Sydney and Brisbane individually got home. Brisbane fans, I apologise if it seems disrespectful that I'm not giving you the love. Amazing win, one of the best comebacks I've seen, and Sydney, they're the best team in it. They're still my tip for the flag, so insert all Daz love here. That sounds terrible, but go with it. That's where it is. Jasper Fletcher kicks the goal, and you're going, yes, please. The actual goal that I missed before, Lachie Neale misses a kick inside 50. Archie, really good gather. Handballs to Charlie Cameron, who's got 2 Giants defenders behind him, not goal side. Charlie kicks the goal. And we're getting worse now. But, the most egregious crime that's in your control was the long kick down the line to Hogan v. McInerney on the wing. McInerney takes the mark. What's the big deal there, Daz? East and west of that contest, so to the left and to the right, is Tom Green and James Peatling, who did not want to stand under that ball and create a contest. And Oscar McInerney effectively, because of the good bodywork that he'd done on Hogan a little bit, but also the ball just dropped short as well. Neither of those two wanted to impact the contest. McInerney takes an uncontested mark, slams it on his boot, chaos ball, hits the grass. Sam Taylor, look, he got pushed, but the rule isn't deliberate, it's insufficient intent. And I'm comfortable with the fact that's a free kick. You may disagree. That's perfectly fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just disagree with you. There's only one opinion this weekend that's blatantly wrong, and you can see my latest YouTube short for my opinion on that. Right? It's a bit stiff. Joe still got to kick it. He does. What an amazing goal that is. Amazing goal that is to get that done. So, full credit to Joe for kicking it, but the rule's not deliberate. It's insufficient intent. I believe that if Sam wasn't pushed, he's still trying to tap the ball towards the boundary line. You could make an argument that if he's not pushed, he can gather it with 2 hands. You're probably right. We'll never know. Joe kicks that 2 times out of 10. He managed to kick it. It's within a point. And once again, win a clearance. 3 minutes 42 left in the game when Danaher kicks that goal. And to the Giants' credit, they got it to half forward. Here we go. Lock it down. Tom Green wins first possession. Yes, please. Handballs it over his head. Can't quite get it to Lachie Whitfield. Jared Berry's got the ball. Whitfield can't go near him, which for a guy who I'm keep getting told he's a really good sprinter, doesn't get there. Now, Berry's got momentum, so maybe a bit harsh. But there's a bloke, once again, east and west of the contest, that Berry burns past. It's not good enough defensive work rate from the Giants at all. Who pumps it long. And then there's a contest. The ball gets punched, and this is where the Giants are stiff, because they had the first two front and square. The ball hits the point, goes up in the air, and lands in Kai Lohmann's arms. Don't have to be dead to be stiff. Footy gods not helping the Giants there. Lohmann kicks it forward, and Joe does the second of his three magnificent efforts to win Brisbane this game. Beat Sam Taylor in a genuine one-on-one. Made all the more impressive considering if you don't think Sam Taylor's the best key defender in the competition, I'm just going to think you're wrong. I just don't think there's an argument for anyone else. There are other fantastic defenders in this competition. Jacob Wiedering, Harris Andrews, Sam Collins lead the pack there beautifully. Alex Pearce was having an All-Australian caliber season before he went down injured. And plenty more in the comp as well. May Lever in the past, probably not this year. But again, we're splitting hairs here. Joe kicks the goal, puts them in front. And then the shift kind of becomes, well, the Giants have crapped the bed trying to save the game. Can't save it now. Go and win it. Again, the ball ends up at half forward, that right forward flank broadcast side. And then everything you could want. If Brisbane are going to win a clearance, get them to rush the kick. And Will Ashcroft does just that. Wins the clearance, rushes a kick out, and for some reason it's not a 2-on-1. It's Joe again, who beats Taylor, gets a disposal, gets the kick away, gets enough depth on the kick that ends the game. The miracle goal, the brilliant 1-on-1, all of those deserve love from Joe. But that contest with 12 seconds left in which he could get the ball on his boot and get it from the wing to the half-forward region and kill time off the clock will get no love, I don't think, during the week. Or, of course, if it already has gotten love, then I'll feel a bit shit about that. But it is what it is. And Brisbane win the game. And Brisbane won. And they've choked away another chance at a premiership. And the massive lesson from it is every single person on the field went reactive and no one had the balls to be proactive, which to me is a lack of on-field leadership that is not great. Toby Green had 4 and kicked the goal in the last quarter, I know that, but the midfield leadership just wasn't there and you left too much down back. And yes, Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley are unbelievable footballers. They are. But the 6-6-6 rule helps teams with momentum. Therefore, the team that wins the flag going forward, or if we do get another dynasty from somewhere, it's not going to be the best team with momentum. Everyone's good with momentum. The best teams in the comp are going to be those that can pause or slow down other teams' momentum. And that's the Giants' Achilles heel. If you kick 2 in a row on them, you're going to get them. You're going to swarm them. And as soon as they go into reactive mode, they're gone. And I think, honestly, the midfield have got a shitload of accountability here. When the going got tough, they could not find an uncontested clearance. And they gave up plenty of them throughout both of these games. It looks like James Peatling's going to stay, which is awesome because I love him. But I am fully putting this on Josh Kelly, on Tom Green, on these guys that could not, against, albeit a very good midfield, but every team in the finals has got a good midfield. Your best needs to beat the best in order to be the best. The midfield is the Achilles heel. I love Callan Ward. You can't win a flag if he's the only one in the clutch who looks likely to win a clearance. And that's what happened. Yes, I think their defenders did not play a good game at all. And yes, Brisbane deserve credit for a lot of things, right? In the last quarter, Aaron Cadman, Lachie Keefe, and Jesse Hogan had 2 disposals between them. Hogan went statless. Jack Payne, a tip of the cap to you, sir, as old Flathead does, just shows himself there. Absolutely. And I know Cadman's young, but Lockie Keefe, why is he playing over Jake Riccardi? I don't know if Riccardi's injured, but extraordinary decision that. But this is not good. Mental fragility is going to be the Giants' problem, and it could be the Hawks' problem too, just differently. But anyway. So next year, what are they going to improve? Well, they're going to get another draftee in. Their youngsters are going to keep developing. Darcy Jones has been amazing. I think Finn Callahan's going to play 300 games in his career. He's that good. I love him so much. But if Josh Kelly's not going to be able to win an uncontested clearance, who is? Because it doesn't look like it's Tom Green, and it shouldn't be Callum Ward. So, is it Peatling? Are they a midfielder short? An explosive mid? They possibly could be. They're going to be a good team. I love Adam Kingsley as a coach. And look, this isn't his finest hour. It's on the coach. I gave it to Sam Mitchell after the Hawks Port game. Adam Kingsley deserves blame here too. But on-field leadership and an explosive midfielder might just be the difference in getting the Giants their elusive first flag. So that's the video, guys. Comment below. Let me know all of your thoughts if you've made it this far. If you watched my previous video, the Hawthorn reaction, you've now watched the new intro twice. What do you think about it? Comment below. Let me know. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. I really enjoyed mine. I hope you have a fantastic start to your week. Draft content coming on Wednesday. How bloody good is that? See you soon. Ciao.